Hello and how are you? In this movie, we are going to look at HTML styles, or what we call CSS. Of course, I'm Hindom Barak, your tutor. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. So CSS, it helps us to design or to change the appearance of our plain HTML codes on how they should do what they should appear. And there's a possibility of writing only single codes of CSS or the styles, and then use the same file to modify or to show the representation of our whole website using the same file. So, simple terms, what is meant by CSS? So, cascading sheets or Cascading Style Sheets or CSS is used to format the layout of a web page. So with CSS, you can control the color, the font, the size of a text, the spacing between elements, how elements are positioned and laid out, what background images and what background colors are to be used, different displays for different devices and size and screen sizes, and much more. So in simple terms, we use CSS to work on the appearance of our web applications or of our web pages. So how do you use CSS? So CSS can be added to HTML document in 3 different ways. I repeat, we can add CSS into our HTML document in 3 different ways. The first way is called inline. So inline, we use it by using the style attribute in HTML element. You remember we've been adding the style attribute in the previous HTML elements to specify the colors of our tags. So that way of designing something and change its appearance using that style attribute is what we call inline. That's how we add CSS in our web pages using inline method. So another way, we can add a CSS using internal. So to use internal method, we use a style tag, as you can see here, as an element in head, and then in the head section, and then we use that element to do what? To define on how, or make the rules on how our document should appear. So external, to use external, we use a link, and it points at the element or a file that you want to act on on our project. So those are 3 different ways on how we can add on how we can add CSS into our HTML. So let's go into the practicals and see and we practice what we've just talked about. So I'll go into our project and I'm going to name this one as, so press just right click here and say new file. It's gonna be 13.html css, okay, whatever, then .html at the end. Okay, so here we're going to begin by writing let's begin by writing our tag. Okay, so you're going to write HTML5, our document structure, and I'm going to put here CSS. Okay, so the first way, we're going to begin with the inline way of adding a style. So the inline way, we have been using it, as you've seen, for the past time we've been using the inline way. So to add inline, we just simply write, for example, h1, and then we just write this is a blue heading. Okay, so that's save, and then go to our browser and open by pressing Ctrl-O, and then go to CSS. So this is a blue heading. Of course, it's not blue yet, so let's go ahead and use CSS to add there to make it blue. Okay, so to do that, you just simply come here and add a style. Okay, okay, and add a what, a style, and then simply say color blue. So it means that this color is going to act on everything that is between this HTML element. Okay, so it means that even if we put here, like for example, a paragraph, also that h1 tag, and then you say this is a red color, and we save. If you come and refresh, see, this color just only acts on this content. It does not act on this other content in another tag. So it means that the style that you add in a certain tag, it will only act on that tag. And this method of adding styles in the same line of element or as an attribute is what we call the inline way of doing things. So let us go ahead and add another, maybe here inline. You can say color, and we say this is a red paragraph. Okay, it is a red paragraph, so you just simply say color and say red. Say come and refresh, you can see this one's also red. So that's how we define things using what we call inline. So there's another one called internal. Okay, with another one called internal. So to use internal, we define that the styles into the head, and we can use it to point at different elements in our document. So to do that, I'll just simply come to head and say style, like that. Okay, so between the head, okay, it's where you define the style tag. So you can write here now your styles that are going to modify anything here. Okay, for example, if I want to change the background of all paragraphs, let me say that this is another paragraph. Okay, this is another paragraph. Okay, so if I want to change the style of the paragraph, okay, so I'll just simply come here inside. Oh, for example, I have two paragraphs and I want all the paragraphs to have the red colors or to have a certain color. Okay, so assume that here I have maybe H2. This is H2. Okay, and let me put here another H3. I want something, want to elaborate here. H3. Oh, sorry. This is H3, and let me duplicate it multiple times. Okay, so you have the H2 and some paragraphs. Okay, so if you come and refresh, okay, you can see there we are. Now I want to use the internal CSS to modify these attributes. So if I want to make, now you see the advantage of this one. If I want to make all the paragraphs to have red background, so it means that I'll have to come here and say style background, maybe red. Okay, so on each paragraph, if I want all the paragraphs to have the background color of red, so I'll have to come and add it there, and also add it here and add it here. So by doing that, I'll be able to achieve the feature of making every paragraph to have a red background. Okay, so but I would like you to know one thing. It is kind of repetition, right? We are repeating ourselves. So if you want to solve that, we use the what? The internal CSS, where I can define and set rules, and everything that lies under that rule, it will be what will be modified to a certain way that you want. So you see how we have been repeating ourselves. Now assume that if I use this internal way of defining the styles, so I'll come in head and create a what? And create a style tag, and then here I'm going to say all the paragraphs should have the red color. So to do that is just writing P, okay, like that, and then you write the curly bracket and close them, and then we say all the background colors for P tags should be red. Okay, so by doing like this, it's going to look for all paragraphs, all the tags that have P, all the P tags to have this color of red. So if I come and refresh, can you see? We have achieved the same thing. But here we wrote only one time, but everything has been what? Has been updated. So if I come and say maybe the color should be white, so you have to end with a semicolon here. So all the paragraphs will have the color of red and the background of white. Okay, so if I want all the h1 tags, all the h2 tags to have a certain color, so I just simply say h2, and then I define my rules in that between this curly bracket. Okay, just write this curly bracket and close it, and then between there you can define your rules. So I can say maybe all the h2 tags should have background color of green, and then maybe the color of white. So wherever we have this h2 tag in this document, it's going to obey this rule. Save, refresh. You see, these are h2, our h2. Okay, so that's how we define using what we call the internal. Okay, the internal of defining CSS. So this is called inline, and this is called internal. So lastly, we want to see how we can define using what we call external CSS. The video has been too long, but nothing to do. Okay, to define using external CSS, we create a CSS file and use link to link those files. So what do? We just write here, I'm going to create a new file. Okay, so right click here and then say new file. I'm going to call it 13.css. okay, let us call it 13.css because it's a file for 13. So you have to give an extension of what? Of .css. So by doing like this, then it means that in this file, you see, we can write our styles. So I'm going to copy all this code between the style tag, cut it and remove the style tag here. Then I'm going to come here in the styles, okay, file, and paste that tag there. So it means that all our styles have come into into this styles file. This is a different file. Okay, this is another file. So it means that we have removed this one. So if we go to our page and refresh, it means that we're not going to see any styling apart from this inline one. Okay, but now I would like you to know one thing, that it is now in external file. Now what if I want to use this external file to act on this file? So what we do, we come here in the head, okay, in the head, and then write what you call a link, like this, a link tag, and then you specify the attribute as rel, and then you put style sheet, just like the way you see it here. Now after doing that, then you specify here where the name of your style file. Okay, so my style file is 13.css. so by doing like this, the browser will bring this style, all the styles that are in this file, and put them here. So everything that obeys that style, it will be able to be displayed here. So if I come and refresh, can you see? Perfect. I hope you can see that. I hope you can see that. So everything that was there has been reflected. Okay, so I hope you can see that. Okay, so everything that is here has come here. So that is how you can use external. And the advantage of using external CSS, we can use it in multiple files. So we can define only one time, and then in all our documents we import it, and then it will work exactly the same. So that is the advantage of using external CSS. So I've looked at three ways of how you can implement CSS. The first way is through inline, the second way is through internal, and the third way through external, and we have elaborated all of them. So don't just watch as you practice. So let us meet in the next video, where we are going to look at HTML links. And thank you for watching.